Bakugan Battle Planet has been a bit frustrating, mostly because trying to keep up with it has been kind of a hassle given how hard it is to find footage of it online, but also because of the quality of the series. Now let me make something clear, I don't hate Battle Planet, not even close. I don't like it, but I don't loathe it either. And even as I'm about to share some of my issues with the series, I'm still gonna continue watching it. It's fucking Bakugan, my favorite franchise of all time. In this video, I mainly want to focus on how the series chose to start things off. I don't really intend to share all of my problems, and I'm gonna fucking compare this to the original. Look, I know a lot of people don't like that, but I feel like it's the only way I have to explain why I was not that big into the way Battle Planet started. However, that's not to say it didn't handle some things better than the original Bakugan. Now, while I might not be the biggest fan of how the Bakugan game got stripped from its complexity, as I might explain in a future video, there was some benefit to this. Bakugan Battle Brawlers introduced us to the game in perhaps one of the most baffling ways possible. They never really got to explain how everything works. The characters were already familiar with how the game worked, so there's no one out there to play the role of ignorance so that he can learn how to play the game alongside the audience. The game itself isn't easy to understand unless you watch a handful of episodes and get the gist of it, so for any newcomer, this is an absolute nightmare to watch. It also doesn't help that the animation was pure dog shit. Two of these issues are no longer present in Battle Planet. The story takes place around the time the Bakugans fell from the sky for the first time on Earth, so the main characters are just as oblivious to these creatures as we are. They're still getting the hang of things, learning how the game works, and not to mention, the game itself isn't very complicated, so it's easy to grasp. And in terms of animation, while it does kind of fall flat in later episodes, for the first two in particular, they were pretty decent, definitely a lot better than the original version. It's very flashy and the action is more movement heavy. However, while I do commend Battle Planet for taking the time to establish the world in a fairly digestible manner, when it comes to holding my attention, this series is not succeeding very well. Let me first start off by expressing my frustration with the 11-minute runtime. Now, I'm already kind of getting sick of episodes of cartoons, including story-driven ones, having this length. One downside to this is that at times there isn't enough room for characters to experience some amount of growth in ways that would feel natural. In the original Bakugan, it took 4 episodes for Dan to start taking Drago seriously. The first time this issue was heavily brought up was in the 3rd episode, even though it was evident from the 2nd one, but they still didn't let Dan experience growth until the next episode, as it was the amount of time required for him to do so. This show has a typical episodic learn a lesson structure, which I would be fine, but generally they tend to feel forced and probably would have been better paced if the episode was longer. Also, let's talk about Drago. Now, look, I don't have a problem with the series making decisions that differ from the source material, but I have to say, Drago's shift in personality made the series feel a lot less exciting. The reason why Drago's appearance was so impactful was because he served as a wake-up call to Dan's comfortable life of playing Bakugan. Drago really emphasized the fact that Bakugan wasn't just a game, which then made Masquerade's appearance a lot more fulfilling, because up until that point, Drago was the only one really warning us about the seriousness to come. And then we see this human with a card that can suck away your Bakugan into the Doom Dimension, and then he ends the battle by also stating that this wasn't just a game. Battle Planet has a similar event, except the bad guys that Dan confronted were the only ones that were really adding some edge to the whole game, and even then, not nearly as much as Masquerade did. They were not fucking sending Bakugans to some inescapable dimension that everyone fears. And after they left, Dan didn't really have anyone to remind him of the seriousness, since Drago is relatively lighthearted. He's not grumpy, he's not that mature, he falls in line with the comfortable environment that Dan is surrounded by. And this just kinda makes things feel slow and not very exciting in comparison. You just don't, you do not get scenes like these in Battle Planet.
Listen to me, human.
Whoa!
I am not a toy. In your realm, you see me only as a token trinket to battle for your pleasure. I ask you, is this all just a game to you?
What's wrong, Drago? Are you saying you don't like to battle? I thought that's what you were programmed for. I'm not getting this.
Bakugan is more than a game.
Well, at least not in the first few episodes. But hey, I have an excuse to talk about Bakugan, so maybe this isn't too bad.